One of the top searched hair care questions is how to grow your hair faster or fuller, especially in the Florida heat. Our hair can often take a hit due to extreme temperatures, but don't worry, I am bringing you a board-certified expert that has a simple way to keep hair stress away. Dr. Doris Day, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Welcome to River City Live.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to talk hair care because oftentimes in the summer, we are exposed to salty air, we're exposed to that extreme heat, and frankly, we're out having fun and hair care might not be top of mind. So how do you think extreme heat really affects that hair health?
Well, this is a major physiologic stress on the hair, not to mention that when people are out in extreme heat, they often tend to put their hair up or back in tight ponytails. And then if you add in extensions and other elements that people are adding to their hair that add weight on top of the humidity and the sweating, adding weight to the hair. This is such a stress on the hair. And what that does is it takes the hair from its growing phase and pushes it over into a resting and then shedding phase. So you end up with something called a stress shedding. And even though that hair tends to grow back, over time it becomes a net loss because you're shedding more than you're growing. So the cycle becomes really difficult. Plus, when your hair falls out, it's long, but when it grows back, it's short and it takes time before it really shows that it's growing again. And that's a big part of my practice. And what I help my patients understand is that when we address these extreme hair issues, we address it not just by what we put on our hair, but also by what we put in our body as well.
So is there something in your practice that you found that actually works for people?
Well, I always like to get to the root of the problem. And in this case, it's the hair root of the problem. And when we address the hair and we try to help nourish it from the roots, it makes a big difference because it can help mitigate the stress. So I look for things that are stress adaptogens. And there's a company called Nutrafol that's made a supplement for the hair. It's Nutrafol. There's Ultra Nutrafol Balance for women who are in peri or post-menopause. And then there's a men's version as well. And they all have slightly different ingredients. But what this company did was very smart, is that they looked at this massive search across all the publications about hair. And they looked for ingredients that either had data directly on hair or things that were stress adaptogens. Because when you stress, it affects your cortisol levels, it affects inflammation, affects all of these markers. And one of the first places it shows is in the hair at the root. And by helping to create that stress adaptogen, reducing the effect of cortisol, because the follicle is what's called an immune privileged site. It's different than the rest of the body. And these products, then they took their formula and then did independent testing with colleagues that I know who do great research, and they have really good data. My mom actually calls it the miracle pill because she's 90. And when I gave it to her, it helped regrow her hair beautifully. So there are products out there, and there's a lot of hair supplements, but I look for ones that are well sourced. I look for ones that have independent data and clinical trials that I can look up and actually see how they were done and have some confidence in, because these are supplements, they're not FDA drugs. So looking at the data is really important. And then we use things like topical minoxidil as well and other supplements that you can take by mouth, like having a good, or just foods like high anti-inflammatory foods, fresh fruits and vegetables, berries, salmon, high fatty fish. All those things that are good for reducing inflammation are going to have great effects on your hair follicle and how your hair grows and recovers from these stressors.
I love that you're sharing that. And also, I'm really glad that mine just came in the mail because now I feel like I had my own personalized doctor session here advocating for that. I also know how engaged you are in peer research and in clinical trials. I know that's an active part of your profession as a board certified dermatologist. So I appreciate that you take that so seriously. Before we go, I just wanted to ask, can your hair take the heat initiative? Why did you think that was so important to bring up with Nutrafol and really be able to battle those stressors like summer heat?
I think one thing is that people should know that they're not alone. And the more information we can get out about how heat affects hair and what you can do about it, because I always believe you should treat the source of the issue, not come in sort of panic that, oh my God, this is what happened. But we're having a very warm summer. This is one of the hottest summers on record. And so getting the message out that this is something that's happening from the outside, but but we can help address it from the inside, and that there's a lot that you can do. See your dermatologist, have a conversation, let them examine your scalp to help you understand exactly what's going on and help guide you as to the best treatments for you. And Nutrafol is such an easy way to start. Sometimes I have my patients, I'm not really a big fan of multivitamins, but I tell my patients who have hair issues, think of this as your multivitamin. It's much more than a multivitamin. It's a cocktail of different elements. It has ashwagandha, curcumin, vitamin D, saw palmetto, so many great ingredients that are really, really well sourced, that work for anti-inflammatory, but really get to the root cause of so much that's driving inflammation. And the fact that you see it in your hair is a great place to start in having that improvement.
I think that we can all certainly go into our summer and improve our hair health with some of your advice from today. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us and being such an open educator, because I know that hair loss, excessive hair shedding can be such a self-conscious thing, especially for us women. It's something that a lot of us struggle with, and every year it gets harder. So thank you for being such an open book and sharing this with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
You have a wonderful, great rest of your day. And everybody, we'll be back with a lot more River City Live coming up right after this.